Welcome to Kreatura podcast about improvisation, comedy and art on stage and in life. My name is Małgorzata Różelska, you can call me Gosia, and today I have the pleasure to present to you today's conversation with Omar Galvan from Argentina. He just came to Gdańsk. We did a project with Soundpainting with the students of University of Gdańsk, with my people from improv theater, with musicians, with dancers, singers, instrumentalists, and this is not what we are talking about today. I'm recording in a car because I forgot to record the intro, so this is what I'm doing while Omar is in the opera watching ballet because he got invited by Marta from our show. So I will just edit a bit the podcast in my car and I will throw it out to the internet, to the world, because otherwise I will get distracted and it will wait another 100 years. So, what we talked about was magical realism mostly. We talked about cultural similarities between Latin America and Slavic people, or Polish people at least. And we talked about improv in Mexico and how they do the wrestling genre, wrestling improv show, yes. We talk about tango and what tango means to people, and a lot of philosophical questions and some philosophical answers. So enjoy our talk and let me know if you have any questions. Enjoy! Omar Galvan. Omar. Hello.
Hello.
You started improv 30 years ago in Argentina. I assume, because then if I count backwards, you were 20 years in Madrid, before that 4 years in Mexico, and you've been doing improv for 30 years, so it was in Argentina.
Yes.
How did you start?
I was a theater student, and in my second or third year in that school, I felt I need more participation because it was a very intellectual theater school. So maybe in the second year, we did a lot of exercise theoretical, and I felt, okay, I need to play. And in the center of the town of Buenos Aires, I saw a poster with a football player with the School of Hamlet, that's called. And I say, okay, football and theater, that is for me. And was about match improvisation. And I start in that workshop, and I love that, and I discovered that world. So I went to the improv show 3 months or 4 after I start to learn improv, and usually it's not like that, but that happens.
And did you ever mix football and improv?
No. No, a few years ago, Fenia Ortali, a friend mine, wrote a book about, and he put one chapter of my handbook about improv, because I talk about football, a short story about football and improv. But usually I don't mix that, no.
But he put the chapter from which of your books?
It's a very nice story, because it's a story when I was teenager and was in the night, and there was in the park and Buenos Aires in other time, so maybe near of midnight, and the game was 2-2, and the score in that a period of your life sometimes is 20-15, but that for us was a real football game. And in one moment, one say a sentence very usual sentence in that kind of games. Who do a goal, who score, won. So the first goal ends the match. And one friend of mine, of my team, was near to score. And he, with all the intention, kick off outside and far away. And he say, I don't want to win, I want to play. So that philosophy for me, in that moment, I don't know if I understand that. But for me, that is very near of the philosophy of improv and to play a character. So many times we defend a lot of a character. So it's most important to play than win or won the match.
Yeah, it's interesting because that reminds me of, I think we talked about it 2 days ago, about the improvisers from Taiwan that I worked with in Australia. I took their class about stage fights. And for the format where they were... Did I tell you that? Or
Maybe.
okay, because I don't
Yes, about the festival, but I don't know if about that particular.
Because there was this format when they start having a fight, like two people having like a, you know, just like a kung fu movie fight, and then starting to reveal why they fighting. And in the workshop, they were talking about the philosophy of martial arts and how it translates to improv. So that was interesting that they started with the philosophy that even in that, when you fight another person, it is still your partner and it needs a mutual respect.
Yes.
So this is interesting how different fields can translate, like different philosophies can translate to improv.
Yes.
And how about I know we talked about it many times, but that would be selfish if I kept it to myself about the wrestling improv in Mexico.
Yes, in Mexico, the name of the group is Complot. And they, in Madrid, years ago, they knew the catch improv. So 2 against 2 with characters, blah, blah, blah. And they translate that in the wrestling mode. In Mexico, the name is Lucha Libre. It's like free fight. And it's very popular, very traditional. A lot of people went to the lucha and entered to the convention because so many times it's very clear it's fake, the fight. But you enter in the convention. So they use that and create the format and they take very seriously the metaphor. So the stage is a ringside, is a ring. The actors and actresses was a very intensive workshop with the really fighters. So between 2 or 3 acts, they fight, and they fight in the very acrobatic mode, and it's an amazing show. So many times the improvisation, the improvs are not technically, but the environment and the people is amazing. It's very crazy. And during, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years, they was a sold out almost every week. Now it's not in season, but so many times they play, and it's a very crazy format.
So it's a mix of playing games and fighting?
Yes.
So when do the fight happen?
The fight is after, because in the really fight, when you defeat 2 times, the fight is over. So that is the same in the improvisation. After one improv, the people vote. So the people a little bit manipulate, because if vote 2 times for the same team, the fight is over. So they manipulate a little bit. And maybe after 2 improv, they play that, but that is a kind of choreography. So it's like a parenthesis inside the show. It's not changed. The story is not part of the story, but it's part of the show, of the big picture of the show.
And the improvisers, as we saw on YouTube, they also have some costume of a character, right? But yet they don't play that character in improv scene, but like between the scenes they're like this.
Yes,
right?
that is sometimes a problem in the original format, the catch improv, because if your character is so strong, then it's difficult to arrive to the neutral actor or actress to play. So many times is, I don't know, it's the butcher or the Thundercats, and they have just some costume, but they must to have the costume to do the acrobacy stuff. So the introduction with music live with three musicians is very strong, but then in the improvisation they have part of the costume and try to play in the neutral mode. But if your team is a bad guys, you play a little bit with that. Yes, so that is it's not easy because it's different layers of fiction. You are the character, and your character play another character. Yes, that is not easy.
And what do you mean by if they are the bad guys?
Because in the lucha libre is very clear the rude people, the bad guys, or the technical ones, the good fighters. So they play with that, and almost all the people love the villain. So I don't know, like in the real fight, sometimes if you go to the court and touch your partner take your place to fight. So they play that, but sometimes the bad people enter without that. So jump the law and play the improvisation. So there are a lot of small things to be near of the lucha libre. The real fighters in Mexico, if you are a fighter with a mask, you can't go to any social event without your mask. Or you can't arrive without the mask and go to the bathroom and put your mask. No, your mask is your personality. So many fighters become fan of the impro lucha and went to the first seats, and in every show you can see 2 or 3 fighters taking a picture, taking the selfie, and it's very crazy that, and was very beautiful too.
So you have real fighters just watching improvisers playing or fighting.
The real improviser become audience, not improviser, but become audience. Yes. And you can see in the show, tonight there is thunder, I don't know, trueno, or there is a panameño. Even the fighter who have not the mask.
Because you said that you can lose your mask, right?
Yes, in the really fight, if you once every year, I think, you put on challenge and risk your mask. And in that fight, if you lose the mask, if you defeat, and you can't use other mask. It's like, okay, that character passed to the history, you continue being a fighter, but with your name and maybe a nickname, El Panameño Suarez, I don't know, for say something. But you are not more the Black Thunder or the White Panther, something.
But you may never create a new character for the wrestling, or you may bring a new character and a new mask.
I don't know how work that. Yes, the character are create every time because the new fighters have a new character.
Yes, but if you lose your character, can you make new one, create? Or are you like
yes, but
forever
without mask.
yourself?
You can create your character a little bit, but without mask.
But if you want to make a new one, you were a thunder, but now you want to be someone else.
Yes, now you be someone else, maybe with your really name and with a nickname, and is a character, but it's not a character with mask.
Oh my God, this is so brutal.
Yes.
And you said that you may lose your hair if you lose...
Yes, and sometimes there are fighters who have two masks. So maybe they lose one, but they have the other one.
This is cheating.
Yes. and sometimes, for example, the most important was El Santo, the saint, and there is a lot of movie of him.
Yes. From which years was that?
I think 60, 17 years, because it's black and white movies, almost all of them. And can be there the son of the Santo Junior can be a new character played by other fighter. But so many times it's like the second part is not the same. The really one is the original one.
Yeah.
Yes. And yes, you talk about the hair. Sometimes is la máscara against, contra, es en Spanish, la cabellera, the hair. So if you lose, the winner cut your hair on live with a scissor. So in the Impro Lucha, the two first season, they did that. They play without mask, but if you lose the final, the other one cut your hair a little bit, but was for some people a little bit is a lot. Yes. That I think the 2 or the 3 first season they played that.
And that's some players, girls. You said that they.
Yes.
They decided to.
Yes, one team, one couple, they decided defeat the semi-final to don't risk the own hair. Yes.
The hair. Yes.
Yes.
I understand that.
Absolutely.
I would cry if I had to cut my hair for the cause of fight. How was it growing up in Buenos Aires? Because for me here from Poland, and most of the listeners are from Poland, this is so exotic, you know?
Yes, and at the same time, the Buenos Aires was, when I was teenager and I was child, very near of the Spain or Italy cities. Is I think Buenos Aires, a little bit Montevideo, Uruguay capital, and other capital was the way to live was near of the European cities. When I grew up, I had a lot of neighborhood life. So I was on the street all the time, was not unsafe. So for me, I play football on the street or like that, maybe at midnight. Now it's not so easy that because it's the different crises become the place and not safe place in everywhere. But yes, and Buenos Aires, for example, has some scene. Now it's a little bit less, but there are bookstore 24 hours open.
What?
In the main street, in the main avenue. Yes, overall the second-hand bookstore. So you can see the people buying book at 3 in the night, because it's a big night culture. You can eat a pizza at 2 in the night, something like that. Or when I start with my group, improvisation group, we play in the bar with a lot of groups, and we play improvisation theater and sketch. And one of that show, we start at 2, Saturday at 2 in the night.
No.
1.5, but then all the shows before was delayed, so we start at 2. And was normal that.
And there was audience?
Yes.
Hour?
In a small place, but there was audience. I think now the thing changes because it's a more difficult situation, more poor people on the street, so it's sad that, but still now there is a love for the night in Buenos Aires.
Nice.
Yes. In fact, there was a festival 2 years in a row, was Buenos Aires no duerme, Buenos Aires don't sleep, and was, I think, 48 hours without stop, in a very big place, free tickets, and there was concert, open mic by poetry, and there was a main stage with the theater stuff, and we played once at 3 in the night and was full.
What?
Yes. Was, I think, in summer, so the weather was nice. So, but I think that kind of festival now is impossible because it's unsafe and
because of the crisis and everything.
Yes.
That's why you were not surprised that in Italy you can have like in the festival student show at 2:00 at night.
Yes.
For me it was a shock, and you're like, okay.
Yes. Even in Madrid now, there is one show start at 12:30, just the Saturday or the Friday once every month. And there is sometimes 300 people in the audience to see that. Yes.
And when I picked you up from the airport in Gdańsk at 10, there was only McDonald's open.
Yeah, yes. Or for example, in Portugal, there is a festival in Sintra near of Lisbon, and sometimes the show is at 8 or at 8:30, and we must to take the dinner before, because then is everything closed. So for the Spanish people, Latin American people, that is so hard. So we prefer eat some snack after the show and not take the dinner at 7:30. Yes. Yeah.
Interesting. But with the bookstores, that reminds me of what you said, that Buenos Aires has the biggest numbers of therapists and people in psychotherapy. And that it connects, like, because you said that it's connected to the how people are, like, intellectual, like they are analyzing philosophically, intellectually things.
Yes, in fact, our music for export from Buenos Aires is the tango, and the lyric of the tango are very complex lyric, because the writers was people who read a lot of French poetry and literature. So in that sense, yes, Buenos Aires, Argentina is special in that sophistical way to take the philosophy. In fact, now there is a young, he has, I think, 54 years old, philosopher, and he become a kind of rock star, and the theaters are full when he talk, because he talk in very street way with bad words, and he explain. And I think the past year he opened a rock concert. He was the band before the main band. And the people was happy, and that is very nice and particular. Before a rock in a stadium with 2,000 people, arrived one philosopher to talk about Platon.
Amazing.
Yes. That is very nice.
So is it that philosophy is like interfering with different fields and
Yes. I think that even if you don't look, if you don't search that, arrive. In fact, in Spain, uh, there are jokes about that because the Argentinian people are considered like we talk a lot, or even if the simple fact we talk about the philosophy or about the psychology mind of that. So it's, yes, and in improvisation too, in the theater improvisation overall, when you play not just games, when you play something more near to the long form, etc., yes, you can see that that approach so many times. Yes.
could you say more? What do you mean by the philosophical approach?
In the sense, sometimes, for example, the tango lyrics are, most of them are sad or tragedy, because the human condition is tragedy. We will end. So, I think that is my opinion. You can see when the people who play theater and play improvisation in the not just for fun, you can see there is some smell tragedy of the tragedy. Yes.
Nice.
Yes, or okay, that can be very fun and we can laugh a lot, but something say, okay, don't forget that
Memento mori.
yes, absolutely. I think that, or maybe just the way, the shape is a little bit poetical, and that is common with the Latin American way to play or to write, and that is near of the magical realism. Yes, that stuff, if you play with honesty, that arrive because it's your normal life. You are with a lot of elements in the poetry or the magical realism, or some kind of literature of the music too.
So do you see in improvisers that they play maybe deeper characters because of that? Like having also like this terror part and
Yes.
comedy and tragedy?
Yes, sometimes, sometimes it's, or sometimes is near to, and I, with that I don't say all the groups, maybe not all the groups,
Sure.
because so many groups play just for fun, and it's okay, and become professional with that kind of improv. But the people who arrive from the theater and is, in one way, is the search to play theater. So when you play theater, you must to think what I want to say, why I play that kind of theater. So that you can see that there are that question before you play, before you have the idea why I choose that way to play my art.
Do you
Yes.
have something in you yourself as a player, like kind of a background philosophy because of that? Like,
Overall of literature, in fact, my solo show, I don't play anymore that show, but was a show with the audience write sentence and stick that in my costume and in a hat, and I was a kind of traveler who take that like books he read sometimes. So magical realism book, the name was, and I read a sentence of the audience. And at the end of the show, there was the explain why that man traveled. So that was a kind of big story, and always was searching something maybe impossible. So sometimes the character was died years ago, and that is the soul. So that search is part of my work.
It's like
Yes.
search of meaning.
Yes,
of life?
yes, yes. The meaning or the release is not meaning, so that is tragedy too. So yes, in fact, for example, yesterday we went to see a show, an improv show, was in Polish.
It was a Szafofe group. Just for Polish improvisers, it was Szafofe, there was Bebe Waldek, Adam and Kukl playing, and they played the stories around the Rodos, the gardens, and it's we are talking now around May weekend, so you know what we do in Poland. It's a grill time, etc. So please continue.
Yes, and I didn't understand nothing because was in Polish. You translate a little bit, but in one moment they talk about Jumanji, the table game, blah blah blah. So in my mind, when the show was end on the last scene, I thought, okay, maybe all that story was a story of the small character in the big table. So we see all the game, and was not a real people, was a and for me was nice because it's the way I play so many times. Maybe that is part of other reality. So that is a way I play, and some people, colleagues, play too. In fact, there was a Borges, the writer, Argentinian writer. There is one poem he talked about the chess, and he said about the destiny of the king and of the tower with the hand of the players, and at the end he asked which kind of player moved that players.
Oh, nice.
So he elevates the question. So that is a cosmovision we have near. I don't say all the acts or the improv are like that, but we have in the pocket that yes.
Also, you said that if you find that there is no meaning, it is a tragedy, if I understand
Yes.
correctly. So as we talked also a bit, I mentioned the film Everything Everywhere All at Once, Wszystko Wszędzie Naraz in Polish, and there was this concept, if nothing has a meaning, everything is random, then what's the point? And maybe it's that you are giving sense to this randomness. So what if it's not a tragedy that there is no sense that was given by default, but you give the meaning?
Yes, and there is some humility way to understand that, because it's okay. Maybe there are not a mean of, but I don't know. So I let open the door for that. So and maybe I don't know, when I fall in love, in the real life, maybe the stuff have a meaning, and then no. So sometimes we change in that idea, and that is nice. That contradiction, yes. In fact, in that movie, the donuts.
Yes, the donuts. Yes.
There is again Borges. There is a short story he wrote. The name is The Aleph, and it's a point he find in the downstairs, and in that point there is everything at the same time. So there are a lot of reference literary in that movie, and the donut is that. So
Nice.
yes.
So if you could, as just like shortly say, what is magical realism? If someone is like knows the term but doesn't really know what is it about really?
Yes, the most pure definition, because was a literary movement. So that sometimes is difficult, or not the difficult, is the challenge to play in theater something born not like a scenic play. It was like a literary. Overall in Colombia, but was in all Latin America, and in that kind of stories, the reality almost the time with the small towns, with a very basic technology and poor people, and in the warm places like Caribbean or something like that. That is the environment. In that ambience, there are the magical elements, and for that environment, that is normal. So, for example, in magical realism, if I fall in love and I reject, I can't decide to die for sad. So, and for everybody is okay. He decided that he was so sad. So, or there is one woman character. She was so beautiful that she stepped at 5 centimeters of the ground because it's so beautiful, and for everybody it's normal. That is the and it's not about dragons. It's not about I don't know, castles, but is that there is some people who dies, but have not noticed about that. So he's in the bar drinking something, and everybody say, Pedro, remember, you are dying. Yes, but so it's that kind of universe, magical realism. And when we teach that, it's difficult to find the balance, because the first time there are nothing magical, or the lot of time there are a lot of magical, and that is more near to the surrealism.
Yes, because of the ground reality, right?
Yes.
What is the normal?
Yes.
So we can see what is a bit above, what
Yes.
the 5 centimeters above the normal,
Yes.
right?
Yes, because if you put everything magical, that is a new world, and that is more near to the surrealism. Yes.
So how do you teach magical realism? What's your approach?
The student laughed every time, because I start to go to the magical realism, and after every exercise I say, okay, that is good, but that is not magical realism. Until we arrive to the magical realism, because I start to play with level of reality, ghosts. When we talk about microcosmos, is something like that. We start to be familiar with that kind of character, and then we put that in if we want to play the most pure magical realism, we put that in a context. Okay, there is a small town, the people know each other. We don't talk about, for example, state or Europe. We talk about the North country.
Ah, yes.
We don't talk about dollar. We say peso or other name. For example, the name of the money in Peru now is the sol, the sun. So it's very magical realism.
Yes.
Because you pay with the sun.
Oh, wow.
It's very
Yes,
nice.
that's nice. Uh-huh.
So at the end, we have that proportion between the magical and the realistic way. Yes, yes.
Like, well, Polish money could be also used because złoty means golden.
Uh-huh.
And it's not gold, but you know,
Yes,
it's
yes,
just
it's
like you
golden.
play with golden.
Yes.
So,
Yes. And sometimes, I don't know, there are, I think here, because was a people who suffer a lot years ago, I think here there are stuff near of the magical realism, ghost people who die and not. But in other country, it's not easy to explain because suddenly
really?
jump to the fantasy. And there is a lion who speak. Yes, can be, but it's more than it's more than a spicy inside the reality. And sometimes it's not magical. For example, I try to tell that story in English because maybe that was in Costa Rica. There was a small village in the mountain, very high. It's not a mountain like in Europe, but it's high because it's jungle before I arrive to that, and the highways, the ways are very risk places with the curve, and there was an autobus and bus passed 2 times in the day, in the morning and in the afternoon, and was the bus in the bad condition, and always every day was delay because the way, so the people complain about that all the time, but maybe that is a town with less than 100 people, very small. So one candidate to become mayor say, if I won, I change the company. And that was the main problem in the town. So everybody voted him. He won. So the next week, he say, okay, I changed that. I told with the other company. So, and everybody say, yes. And when you change that, the next Sunday will arrive the first bus. And everybody, yes, we prepare the party for that. So town party for the new buses. So the new company have not enough bus to send to that small town. So they buy the bus for the other company who has 2 bus more. So it was the same buses, paint in another way. And that ways are very difficult to arrive, very complicated. So the only 2 or 3 drivers who know that was the old drivers of the other company. So they create that party and they arrive the same bus with the same drivers. So that is very, and they say, okay, but is the party the same? And so that is absolutely Latino American style. It's not magical in that example, but it's something so particular, and the people, and that is have the sad side. The people is happy even when the situation is not happy. It's poor situation, is not developed, but find to be happy in that universe?
I think there are some similarities between Polish people and that and Latino people, or like, is it?
Yes, I feel that. Yes.
Because, for example, the things you say, I can relate, and when it comes to accepting, like, let's say, this dimension of spirits, it's like usually people like don't talk about it, and it's like, no, not that people are like doing like invoking spirits, but for example, it's obvious that you keep one plate at the Christmas Eve for your ancestors. It is said that maybe for a person that needs it, that is alive, but it's not the source. The source is that you keep it for your ancestors to sit with you, for example. Or that we had a Dziady is like All Saints Day kind of a thing, but Slavic ancestral stuff, when they were summoning the spirits, for example, or summoning to release them because they were stuck somewhere in the middle. And it's not that surprising. It's just like, it's like, oh yeah, sure, but no one says like, no, what, this is stupid. It's just like, okay, it is somewhere, it is somewhere in the air. Or about laughing at the bad times, we had, comedy was a very big thing during communism. And when it comes to like sketch comedy on stage live, when they were just laughing at the system, that there was nothing in the stores, for example. There were like Laskowi, Cabaret, and all, Polish guys know this. So just making fun of the censorship, the way that they cannot cancel you at the same time.
Yes.
Or there was this Polish director Bareja who was making these comedy films exactly about situations like this bus. It's exactly the same. Also, people being poor in the system that is not supportive, and you have to. Oh, we talked, guys, to the listeners. We were talking yesterday with Omar about the words, and basically Omar described that they have word for kombinować. And we usually say that this is such a typical Polish word that there is no translation, but they have something like that. Could you explain what you said?
Yes, in Argentina overall we say the viveza criolla. Criolla is Creole, is for the place, and viveza, vivo is alive. So vivo is a kind of smart and clever too. But in the way is not all the time in the legal way. So for us, the maximum example of that was the Maradona goal score against the England, because he scored with the hand. And that score was valid in the match. So many people say, yes, but that is not legal. Yes, but we can do that. And so that the viveza criolla is something years ago everybody was proud about that. But the last year, when you after that you say, okay, but you don't progress with that, or we don't progress as society with that, because everybody save him or herself. And so now that viveza criolla is in discussion, is not so proud about that.
Yes, sure, because if you jeśli kombinujesz, if you're, like doing this, it's like not something to be proud of, but at the same time you may be a bit proud inside, for example, that you did something to avoid something, for example, let's say taxes in a way or whatever.
Yes, or simply a line if you must
exactly,
wait.
Yes. Yes, exactly. This is kombinować, definitely.
Yes,
this is so funny that you have the same thing.
And I think we can translate that in improv theater with the ingenio. It's not the inteligencia is the smart or the clever.
Spryt, we have a word.
Yes.
To be sprytny.
Yes, when you can say the joke or the answer very fast. So I don't
A
know
bit
in
of
English.
clever, maybe?
Yes, because it's the ingenio is fast. Is in fact one of the definition is the ingenio is the smart playing. So there is a book in Spanish. The book is Elogio y refutación del ingenio. So it's elogio is that we talk good, and at the same time we refuse the ingenio because it's good, because it's fast and you can talk about something spontaneous, blah blah blah, but at the same time you can't build something, and is overall
Cwaniak. It's cwaniackie. I know cwaniak in Polish. That person would be cwaniak. I don't think there is a word in English for that either, what you're describing, but in Polish there is.
yes. So it's a kind of trap.
Oh, this is cwaniak. Yes, definitely.
Yes. And it's not easy in improvisation.
Yes.
Live with that, because at the end, so many times overall in the school, the people who start improvisation think, okay, that is just for fast people, and it's not like that.
Going step back to the magical realism, because I wanted to ask my Italian accent just is kicking in because your Spanish accent. I even now when we're speaking, when I said the word terror, I said it in Polish, you know.
Yes, but in Spanish too, terror.
Exactly. So
Yes,
because it's easier for us to understand when
Yes.
we like use the melody of our languages. What are the books that you would recommend if someone would like to get to know magical realism? Because you said it's literally
Yes,
literatura.
the most important exponent of that is Gabriel Garcia Marquez and 100 Years of Solitude, I think is
Yes.
the name. So almost all, and the love in the cholera time.
Miłość w czasach zarazy i 100 lat samotności. These are the Polish titles, of course.
So there are a lot of books, and to name a woman, Isabel Allende, she is from Chile, she's alive, and a lot of stories. In fact, one of them become movie. Isabel Allende book is The Spirit's House, La Casa de los Espíritus, and was a movie with a very important cast. I don't know, Meryl Streep years ago. And yes, there are other one. There are movies too, como Agua para Chocolates, the Water for the Chocolate. I don't know the name in English. And yes, but so many times, if you're looking for magical realism movies, the almost all the list, there are a lot of movies are fantasy or surrealism or not. So I think that the best way to enter is by the literature. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm asking. So, what are the good sources to get the vibe of magical realism?
Yes, and when I teach that, maybe not just an intensive workshop, when I teach that with more time, I ask to the student, think about situation in their own life or in the family life. Sometimes the old people, the old family have some stuff you can't explain in the rational way. So
Yes,
that,
of course.
and you live with that. It's not is not usual, but at the same time, it's inside your reality.
Yes, There's a lot, I think, with the ancestors or like, grandfather, grandmother who passed, and then it's obvious that it's them like communicating with you. Like you said, the story with the phone. If you want to share or not. With
Yes.
your dad calling, like how,
Wow. Yes.
because it's a beautiful story, and it's exactly it could happen in Poland. So please.
Yes. My mother don't want to talk with my father. My father and my mother now passed away years ago. So to avoid the situation by telephone, my father rings one and wait a little bit and call again, so my mother knows, okay, I don't answer the phone. So that was a code during years and years. Then in a few days my father dies, and was a very complex situation. It's not a nice situation. You must to talk with the people for the cemetery, the grave, blah 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 blah. So it was 2 or 3 days exhausted for my sister and for me. And when that ends, she invited me to rest in her house, and I say no, I prefer my home. We was far away of the cemetery, so I arrived to my house. I take a shower and a coffee, and when I say okay, I will sleep one day, the telephone rings, and rings chance once, and I say no, and I say I must to tell that to my sister. And I call my sister by telephone, and my sister answered suddenly, and she asked me, "Did you ring one to my home?" And I said, "No, I asked the same to you." So we was in silence, and we say, "Okay." He say to us, "I arrived well."
Yes, because you said that when he was traveling,
Yes.
he would just ring once, not
Yes.
even to talk, just to let you know. Right?
Yes,
That
so
he
many.
arrived.
Yes, I forgot to say that. Every time he travel, he rings one, and we knows
That he's
he
fine.
arrived well. Yes, so for us, that moment was very emotional. In fact, I tell now,
Yes.
and yes, and at the same time was yes. Is normal.
Yeah.
I all the time I tell that kind of stories. For me, the spirit of the magical realism is that is normal. It's not put a crazy stuff. That is normal. I say sometime in the class, I don't want to live in a world with absolutely indifference with the soul happen. I want to live in a world if someone passes away and can say to you, I'm okay in the different way, I say, okay, that is the normal.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
I say once in a while exact this thing that I don't want the world without magic. I don't care. I don't care about it. It's just cold and dead that
Yes.
way. So I choose to believe that the world is something more.
Yes, and that is for me the beautiful contradiction with the topic we talk in when we start. At the same time, maybe I believe there are not sense, there are not other life, but that happens. So in that, I think so many times that unbalance justify the art. Because I can't explain that with the science, I can't explain that just thinking. So maybe the art put drive us to the a kind of definition to that landscape.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And what are do you recall what would be the most maybe magical, philosophical, artistic shows or formats that you did?
I have one, and I developed a lot of variations. So sometimes if I have not a lot of time to develop, there is the same but more simple, and is based in a play, in a right play. The name of the play, theater play, is Nuestra Señora de las Nubes. Is like our version of the Klaus, the name, and is right by the Argentinian and Ecuadorian writer theater, and it's about two people who are they not know before this between them, and they remember their own city or country, but it's a little bit surrealism too, because they talk about the same town. In our show, the audience, we construct the name with the sentence or with the words of the audience, and it's the same town, but it's a little bit different, and we play with a cast, maybe 7 people, and we play in the train or in the train station, and in the moment one of the character try to explain or remember something, the secondary character of the station become the main character of that story. So that is not a storyteller, but it's just start to tell about the town. So you can build that city or that town with that remember, and at the end, and that is like my solo show, that character discover why I in that people are in that station, because we don't know before, and maybe then, I don't know, in Mexico one of the most beautiful situation was everyone was in the train waiting to born
To be born.
to be born. So that was the
Nice.
life, yes. And one situation of that I tell a lot of time in Mexico too, where we developed that format, that show. One of them start to tell to the other one him wedding party, and everyone start to recreate that, so create the atmosphere. But one of the guys go to the storyteller, who was the storyteller, and say, "Excuse me, Leo, but you remember me, but I was not in your party.
Oh, nice.
Now you remember me." And he say, "Yes, I know, Mattia, but was so pain for me, so I prefer remember you." So it's so nice. It's so nice.
my heart.
Yes. And he say, "Okay, so I will be in the corner because I don't know nothing about it." Yes, take it easy. So it was a very beautiful moment, and that is the goal, or the approach we search in this kind of format or show, yes, or play, yes.
I love this. What's your favorite thing to play?
Yes, I think I play a lot in that way, and I like a lot. And at the same time, I need the other way to play. So, because if I play just one way or this, at the end, I bored with myself. I repeat a lot myself. So, yes, there is something I naturally I go to, and it's that magical realism or that philosophy or literary, better way to play. But I enjoy a lot when someone invite me to play games or to
Yes,
play.
sure.
Yes. So I need both.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. In the last years in Madrid, I start to go a lot to the theater to see overall young writers, and I stole a lot of resource, and so in the last 2 years I play a lot with people and the workshop or training with professional people to develop and to go to the theater side, no just in the entertainment, to the theater side. And I like a lot that. In fact, days ago we talked about the Impro Madrid format, or I don't like a lot of the word format, but the improv play.
I don't like the word format too. It's too
Yes,
technical. It's like,
yes. Um, and the name is complicated. Is A nadie se le dio veneno en risa. Is a sentence by the golden century in Spanish literature, and is nobody to nobody. Yes, an adaptation. Nobody had poison in laughed. So, because the laugh
smile.
is smile, yes, or,
Laughter. Yes.
laughter. And so smile or laughter is never a poison. And it's a format again.
Form.
Yes, they explain the theater in the 16th and 17th century in Spain, and ask something to the audience, and we play. They play. I was invited in that way with rhyme. Very is parallel to the Shakespearean, but not so tragedy, more romantic and happy end, and that kind of theater improvisation I like a lot. They sacrifice a little bit the risk because it's a very close structure, but it's very nice to play, and it's a way to arrive to theaters when the improv is not good, is not welcome.
It's that improv is not sophisticated enough and not respected enough sometimes, right? In the world of theater, scripted theater.
Yes. In some countries it's more near, for example, Mexico, Costa Rica, Spain too. But at the same time, there are places, no, that is amateur theater, blah, blah, blah.
So why is it close to theater, for example, in Mexico?
Because in Mexico, because so many people started in the important school of art. So
they came from the
yes,
field of studying the art?
Yes. And so many people are actors and actresses in other plays. So there is an important place. There is one improviser woman. She directs one music improv theater, and at the same time she directs the play. The Father is the film with Anthony Hopkins, but the theater play with a very famous actor and teacher in Mexico, old man, and she's the directress of that play, and at the same time she's an improviser. So that, I think, is not an opinion of the text theater. It's just the same people, so
Yes.
that is open the possibility to exchange.
So the form of improv theater gets the respect through the people who do it,
Yes.
right? Because they come from the field of theater, so they belong
Yes.
in the theater.
Yes.
Yes. I see. And do you see any differences between, let's say, like Argentinian, maybe Mexican improv, like Latin America improv, than European? And does even like Spanish improv is more like there or here?
Well, it's a good question. I think after 2015, more or less, now is not a big difference because there is internet, there are low costs, there are a lot of festivals, but before in Latin America, almost all the group was with people who before that was actors and actresses. So that in all the time, if you think about your show or your mise en scène in French, you think about all the elements of the theater. You say, okay, what is our costume, the lights, everybody play with empty space, but maybe some scenography or some curtain you can change. So we, even when I start in Argentina, we think about all that stuff. So that make a difference. I don't say worse or better, but the approach is always or was always by the theater staff. And then with the change, we say, okay, we can play with these clothes and without a special light, and it's okay, and we can create a very amazing show. But in the first time was that between Latin America and Europe or in the States.
That's the next question. Like,
Yes.
how do you find that approach when you are like taken from Latin America and dropped in United States?
Yes, in United States, when I improvise or other Latin American people improvise, I remember I played for first time in 2000 in I don't remember the name of the important theater in New York, a small theater. That I think they changed because it was very near of the Twin Towers, so that place
God, yeah.
not disappear, but they changed. Upright Citizen Brigade.
Oh, right, yes.
Yes,
UCB.
UCB. And I was lucky because every Friday, I think, they had 20 minutes to one guest. And I was in New York, I called them, and they say, okay, amazing, 'cause we have nothing. And I explained to them, okay, you say me a sentence, we will play something very espresso, fast, and a sentence, you put a music, I think 10 seconds, and I start, no, think 10 seconds is too much, they tell me. We say, okay, now, the sentence. Yes, but no, it's for our audience. And I remember
10 seconds is too long.
Yes, in the camerino, I start to make up, and everybody look at me like, why? And the special, not a special, but a jacket for the costume, and everybody look at me like, okay, that is weird.
Oh,
and,
wow.
And then overall, because my English 20 years ago was very poor, I start the improv. I remember the title was the Maker Wine, and I play a horror story, and 2 or 3 times I resolved the situation just with the physicality, but with something very simple. I don't know, with slow movement, ralenti, and I feel the audience say, "Okay, that is the Circo del Soleil." Because use the body in that way for them was wow, amazing. And I am very mental improviser, but in that situation you play with the body.
Yes.
So that is the difference. And at the same time, almost all my generation start with the match improv. Canadian format, two teams with a very strong rules. And one of the rule is, and it's a fault, you can't impose the character to the other character. If you enter and I say mother, blah, 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 it's a fault for me. That in the match. And we learn the improvisation with that. And when the first time I was in the international festival, not match or in the travel, I saw that is just for the match. But in a lot of countries of Latin America, we thought that was part of the improv.
Oh, that you cannot
Yes.
tell someone that they are someone, like
Yes.
put a character on someone.
Yes, you must wait. So sometimes that become one improv with 2 minutes, absolutely without definition, because everybody have fear. So, hello, well. And when I start to see the American way, was the first one I see different. They impose, and that was a gift for the other one, because it's not a crazy impose. And that was nice. That I felt okay. There is a possibility to exchange. We play with the body. We play with not just talking head, and they can learn that, and we can learn that way to talk without round all the time, to don't be unpolite with the other actress or actor.
Yes.
So that was nice. Yes.
Nice. Because you said talking heads, I just thought of a short documentary. I will show you because it's just 15 minutes on YouTube. It's by Krzysztof Kieślowski. So that was a very famous Polish filmmaker. Back in the days, he's gone now. But it reminds me a bit of magical realism because it is a documentary. He's just asking very basic but philosophical questions to people from the youngest to the oldest. So he's asking a little kid, then in the end he's asking like over 100-year-old grandma. Questions are like, what do you want? What is the meaning of life, basically? And everyone is answering in such a beautiful way that it's like everyone has like old soul. And I have to show it to you maybe because there's something in it that is again like people in that time. It was filmed during communism, so people were like poor. There was not much perspective, but like asking them these basic but fundamental questions just show something that is a bit 5 centimeters again above the ground. So I will show it to you in a second.
Yes, that is important, and it is true. It's not just the fact to be poor or not. It's if you have hope or not. That is more terrible. If you have not hope to change something, that is perverse, and that is really sad because you are poor. Okay, you can fight, change. It's a different situation. It's not nice situation, but live without hope is terrible. Yes.
Yes, and it's interesting because I assume that Argentina was never, at least like during our life, a rich country, right?
No, years after, before,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
years before. Yes, yes.
Because I think it's also a part of life that where you don't have like all these luxuries, but you look for something, for meaning, for
Yes.
you turn into philosophy, you turn into
Yes, and the fact to the people from Buenos Aires, most of us are the European roots, so people who arrive in ships, blah blah blah. That is important for the personality because you are your whole family was people who led the country to go to the other side of the planet. So that is we have the DNA with that.
yes. And as you said that Argentinians, what if you're about to say what's the stereotype that you have about your own country, and you said that Argentinians feel like they are the Parisians of
Yes.
Latin America.
yes, and they have a lot of show because we are very egocentric people. Yes, and so many times the Argentinian people we felt more European than Latin American people. So that the contrast is strong because then you discover your economical situation is Latin America situation, is not European
Yes.
situation.
Oh yes, of course. Oh, and we just finished the sound painting project in the University of Gdańsk with my students, and that was the second time that you worked in Poland with Polish improvisers in the subject of sound painting. So the first one was Improdrom in Bydgoszcz Festival. And do you see it? Of course, it was not a long time, both. But is there anything that you saw that was specific for Polish improvisers?
Nice question. Yes, because was just not a lot of time, but we talk. I don't know if minutes or hours ago about the so many times the people in state have not the curiosity to learn something by the people from Europe or from Latin America. I felt that twice I work here. There is the opposite. There is and you are for far away, so I want to learn or to what, and even with the questions, with the chat outside the workshop moment. Oh, so you are from Argentina, and how is there, and how is in Spain, and that is for me is very important because that is very clear when you translate that on the stage because it's okay. I want to learn that and was like that, and here was for me was very beautiful the last experience because was very young people.
Some of them were students, current students of the University of Gdańsk, just saying to the listeners. So we had some of improv people, improv actors from my university theater. And there were musicians with like saxophones, contrabass, contrabass in Polish, contrabajo in Spanish, I don't know in English. We had a piano, we had a guitar, and they were all the musicians. We had singers, were students of the university, and dancers. We had dancers, also very young people. So yes, so they were around 20 years old.
Yes, and you can perceive in them look the las ganas, the volunteer to learn and to show,
Yes.
and that I think is not in all places. That so yes, I feel so well with that here in Poland. The twice, because the
Yes.
other time too, there was people in the piano, very young people, and they finish the show and you feel that. Yes.
And you've traveled the world a lot. So is there anything specific that you feel that you learned because of traveling and doing improv all around the world?
Nice. Yes, I think that the important is the stuff beyond the technique. Because I can say, okay, the imposition, the blah blah, the characters, but I like a lot, even with my contradiction, but I a lot the community. I'm in your house, and maybe we see before that 3 or 4 times in our life, not more.
Yes.
But and during we talk, there is some improviser in my home in Spain.
Yes.
So that community, and it's a healthy community.
Yes.
I don't know. I remember once in one country, I will not say the country, but a festival theater, and there was a lot of drugs situation, heavy drugs situation. And after I have 30 years improvising, but 20 and blah, blah, traveling, I didn't see the hard situation and with people very, very different in very part of the world. So that is very nice. That is very nice. Okay, there are arguments, there are people who fight, there are money situation, there are power abuse situation, but that happen in all the environment. But I think and I feel is a very generous and solidarity community, and that is nice. I'm not a very optimist people, but that kind of community of people, I wake up in me the hope for the humanity. Yes. Because
it's a human connection. However, it's like pompatic it sounds, but on the human level, it's just honest and curious about the curiosity. It seems, I have a feeling that people who go to this level of organizing your life, that you travel with improv, that you do what we do, that now you're here, and as you say, someone is at your home, and like I said recently, I was in Rome, and also staying with improvisers. It's just it's natural, and that there is this a level of honesty. And just talking about life and philosophy and art and being okay with everything that we go through as humans.
Yes, and so many people find in the improv a place to maybe there is people, because the most people we know is not professional improviser. So many people find in the improv a place to be happy outside their own work life.
Yes.
Even if then love or hate then work is not, but and it's not sport or dance, is something artistical where we talk about the life. So it's not just, okay, we talk Esperanto, okay, But here you play with your sensation, with your emotion. So it's very important that. And I think, and sometimes that can sound not good, but I arrived to that opinion in the last 2 years, I think, or something like that. I think the improv theater is much more important to what to give to the society and also time to give to the art. I think to the arts, I think we are a little bit delayed too. We are, but to the society and to human life, the gift or in Spanish is el aporte, the stuff we give is. I think is not compared with a lot of different activities. Yes.
I think it's also because the fact that the audience is giving us suggestions or sharing life stories, depending on what we play, sharing how they feel, how they see the world, what is important to them. It's they can see themselves, they can live with us or see their struggle in the stage way, in the maybe comedic way, or how like the whole forum theater or theater of the oppressed, of course these are the serious ones, but in improv we can go also to the light stages and just seeing it as even the tragedy, as you said before, that we can go that there's a whole spectrum between like tragic and deep and suffering, and like you said about tango, and the light, and like making fun of it, or just saying, oh well, what you gonna do, this is life.
Yes, and you can see people who work every day, maybe they don't like the work, blah blah, and the society is a big competition every time, hardest. So and at 8 or 7 in the night arrive to a place when there is other people and there is a teacher who say, okay, you say yes and you listen and everybody will listen to you. So wow, it's a kind of therapy. We are not therapists, but it's a collateral effects, and yes, it's amazing that.
And is there anything that you found for yourself in improv, like something for to you as Omar, as a human being, that's like improv brought to you?
Yes, I think maybe it's the more basic, but and I must to be conscious and repeat to myself in a very different situation of the life, the acceptation, say yes, that is very ABC, but at the same time is not easy live in that way. So yes, for example, now in a few months I will back to live, I don't know, in months, years, I don't know, to Mexico. I live in Madrid now, to 20 years. So I thought a lot of time, if I was a different person with a different work, maybe I will change in other way, but I don't know if I was so brave to say in some way, to say, okay, with 53 years old, I change the place to live. And I think that is because something on me lives like a long improvisation mood. Yes. Yes, yes.
Yes, that reminds me because we talked before we started recording about tarot cards, the big arcane as the inner hero's journey, and that the zero card, so the first of that, is the fool, and it's being open to adventure and just seeing what happens. And that's it reminds me of improviser, just being a bit maybe naive, maybe open, and maybe getting into trouble, but still. And the moment that you say of like letting go is also a card called the Hanged Man. And people also like when see them is like, oh no, why is he hanging like head down? And he's just like he has a rope around his leg. It's just like the
Yes.
ankle.
Yeah, yes.
And this card is about just letting go and just be and see what happens. So this is also interesting. That what you said now just reminded me that sometimes it's just with improv too. Just trust the process. Like just be here and now and see. Don't force things. Just if something is happening, see where it goes instead of trying to control every step of it. And is there, as the last question, because the time I think is good, because Marta, who hello Marta, who was the dancer in the Soundpainting show, invited Omar to opera to see the ballet. So he's going to see the ballet soon. So the last question that I usually ask, because this podcast is mainly like the mission of this podcast is to people who are curious and who want to do things, like they want to do things, create things. So is there, like, what would be the one advice that you would give to people who, for example, start or just want to grow, are curious about the art form and creating?
Yes, I think, and maybe I say that now, and 1 year after I can say other. But
Of course.
in that time, I think to be curious in the multiple ways.
Yes.
Not just in, okay, I don't know, I like a horror movie, I curious in that sense. Yes, and try to be curious in everything, even in the bored moments.
Yes.
Because I think we cancel the moment just to wait, just to be bored, and so many stuff born in that situation. So be curious in beyond the system says you must to be curious.
Yes.
Yes.
So just be curious as a human, right?
Yes. Yes. Or nature, or yes. Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you, Omar, very much for our talk, and we will continue off recording now.
Yes,
So thank you to all the listeners, and if you have any questions, as usual, you can just text me, I can just go ask Omar, and stay curious, people.